Hello and welcome to Autumn Acres Homestead. So I have a lot to go over with you today and what has transpired on the farm. And I'm hoping that this will be an educational video for those that are in need of help of newborn baby goat kids that are having difficulty latching to their mom or dam. So we've been patiently waiting for our baby goat kids now for quite a while, not really sure exactly when their due date was. And so this morning we had gone outside to do the farm chores, and Nova, our Nigerian dwarf goat, who is our youngest goat, gave birth to a baby boy, also known as a buckling. Now, unfortunately, the baby boy buckling was extremely small. He's actually only weighing in at 2 pounds, 10 ounces, and newborn baby goats should be, you'd say, 8 to 11 pounds, possibly. So we were keeping a close eye on him. We had set up a heat lamp, and unfortunately he was too small and too weak to latch to Nova. Nova was a first-time mom, and although she was trying to stimulate him by going to the bathroom and cleaning him off from the afterbirth, unfortunately it just wasn't enough for her to help her own son. So we brought him into the house to check his body temperature. So with that, we just did a thermometer bought over the counter at CVS, and a normal body temperature for a newborn goat would be 101.5 degrees to 103.5 degrees. Baby boy buckling was extremely hypothermic, and his temperature was only registering at 92.2 degrees. So we knew right away that we had to do emergency protocols in order to save this baby. First and foremost, he was not wet, so there was no drying process that needed to be taken place. So the best thing, and luckily we do have a wood burning stove, so we were able to initiate a fire with our wood burning stove, and we kind of put him into a box with a heating pad set on high. I was sure to put a puppy pad over the heating pad. You don't want to overheat your goats by any means, and you, at this critical point in the game, you want to take frequent body temperatures. If you'd like, my viewers, I'd like to show you how to go ahead and proceed to take a baby goat's temperature. So we didn't initially leave the buckling in the box. You want to hold him up against your body because your body also gives off heat. So what I did, and I'll show you how I was able to do this. So I had a smaller blanket initially, so this is just a towel. So I have him wrapped in a towel, and then, oh, he's crying. I take the heating pad with the puppy pad and wrap him, and not only is he getting the heat from the pad, he's getting my body heat, and then he's getting the heat from the wood burning stove. So it took probably about an hour, but he was able to get his body temperature regulated. Now I did reach out to my my goat advisors from Two Toes Trimming to get some advice, and they were very adamant about not feeding the baby goat unless he reached a body temperature of 100 degrees. I'm so glad that they were able to direct me in that piece of advice, because as a new farm homesteader, I would have thought, well, let's get a bottle into him to help raise his temperature. But in fact, when a baby goat is that hypothermic, it won't actually be able to break down the milk and properly digest, and it could actually kill the baby. So as soon as the baby had reached 100 degrees, we were able to get a bottle regulated. So unfortunately, we didn't have any goat milk on hand, and we did have goat kid replacer. I'm sure most of you know, if you own goats, that the first 24 hours at least, it's very important for the baby kids to get colostrum. We didn't have that at that point either. That'll be a little bit later on in the video. So at that point, what we did was heat up a bottle with kid milk replacer at 110 degrees. Anything hotter could potentially burn the esophagus of the goat. So you want to make sure, again, separate thermometer from what you're using to check the body temperature. We were able to do that. Now, at 2 pounds, 10 ounces, wasn't really sure how much my new baby goat kid would take. I was able to get a ½ an ounce into him. After that, his body temperature did regulate to over 101 degrees, which is exactly what we wanted. And then he started to get some more spunk and life into him. Stood him up, he wagged his tail, and he actually peed for the first time, which was huge, so we know he's not necessarily dehydrated. Let me stop and show you how I'm going to check his body temperature. So you want to turn the thermometer on. I like these digital ones. They're smaller and they tend to work well for me. Please excuse me while I hold the baby goat and kind of get the temperature. Okay, baby. Okay, baby. Okay, baby. And you don't want to put it in too far. You don't want to hurt the baby, but you also do not want it to be sticking out, and you want to be able to get the proper temperature. So as you can see, this temperature is going up. He's now over 101 degrees. I'm hoping that we can get to at least 101.5. We're at 101.4 now. Let's be honest, he doesn't love it. What baby would? So I'm getting 101.5, which is great. This thermometer will beep, but for the sake of the length of the video, I'll go ahead and take the thermometer out. And I'm doing that very gently, guys. I'm not, as you can see, I wasn't getting it in the right place right at first. Don't, okay, honey. You know, don't jam it. It will go in if you're in the right place pretty smoothly, just a small amount of pressure. Okay, so let's fast forward. We reached out again to our goat advisors. We were able to administer, according to the directions, 3 to 5 grams of lamb and kid paste, which can be administered. And prior to the initial bottle, we did rub some organic raw honey on the baby kid's gums. That helped stimulate his suckling action and made him lick his lips and actually want to take the bottle. So basically, we at first did not have any colostrum on hand, and so we were able to reach out to our goat advisors, and they were able to give us colostrum oral gel. So this also advises it's 10 cc's the first day, 10 cc's the second day, 10 cc's the third day. It's a gel, so you go ahead and administer it with the dial. You put it to the 10 and administer down. Don't make the mistake I made. I tried to insert the entire amount, and a lot of it ended up coming out. So we didn't want him to lose that first dose of colostrum, which is so important for his health and well-being. So his mom, Nova, is still alive and well, and she's mourning the loss of her baby because it's not with her. So Mike and I decided that the best thing to do would be to go out and milk Nova. Now, Nova has never been milked before. In fact, we don't even have a goat milk stand because all of our babies have been dam raised, meaning that the goats stay with their mom and milk until they're weaned. So as a homesteader, we've never needed to milk. And so it actually went a lot smoother than we ever could have imagined. Nova was only bottle fed for a couple weeks, so she's a little bit more timid and shy. So we took the approach of offering her grain. She just gave birth, and obviously her udder was very full of milk. So Mike had held her 2 horns facing her. I would have loved to have been able to get this on video, but unfortunately it was just the 2 of us, so we weren't able to do so. So what I did was literally, because she was a Nigerian dwarf, I laid on the ground. I brought the bottle outside, and guys, you'd be so proud of me. I milked for the first time since being a homesteader, I also got a second bottle. So 3 ounces in the first and 1.5 ounces in the second. This literally, guys, is liquid gold. This is the most important thing that you can have on your homestead when you have babies and they're not taking to mom for whatever reason, whether mom rejected the baby, whether the baby was premature and clearly wasn't able to have the strength and power to be able to latch. I tried offering Nova food with grain earlier, which is her treat, placing the baby under her, taking her teat, opening the baby's mouth, but the baby just didn't have the strength to hold and suck. So it obviously needed outside help. We typically like nature to take its course, but we couldn't just leave this little guy with mom knowing that he wouldn't survive the night, even though we were doing everything correctly by providing it with a heat lamp and an enclosed pen with mom. The other thing was we had a second Nigerian dwarf, Meadow, who also gave birth today. So we thought that perhaps if Nova did reject her baby Buckling, that baby Buckling here could nurse off of Meadow in her colostrum. But unfortunately, again, that wasn't the case of Nova necessarily rejecting her baby. It was that the baby wasn't well enough to actually take to either of them. So we did administer, like I said, some of the colostrum paste, but then we also right away came in and administered the bottle. So as far as the kid milk replacer goes, we do have that. We will continue to bottle feed going forward. If he gets strong enough, we may have him go back with Nova. You can also substitute the milk replacer with whole cow's milk, which sounds weird, I know, but they actually tend to digest that better because it's more natural. The thing about the milk is that once you heat it up, you don't want to put it in a microwave with plastic. The best way is to do it over the stovetop, and it boils pretty quickly, so you do want to be careful. You do want to take that temperature as well, and like I said, you only want it at 110 degrees. You can do the method of putting it on your wrist like mothers do with their babies before they administer a bottle. But I like to know how much degrees it is because you can't be too safe. This is the thermometer we use to check the temperature of the milk. Something like this would work, but unfortunately anything over 110 degrees, it reads high, doesn't tell you a number, and anything less than 90, it reads low and it doesn't tell you a number. Whereas this has a wide variety of temperatures of -40 all the way to 302 degrees. So this is perfect, and the length of it can fit into a bottle, so you're not fishing around with this and you're able to use this. So that's why I have both thermometers on hand, if you're wondering. As far as the feeding goes, I'm going to pick him up and try to offer him a little bit more of the colostrum to kind of see how he does with that. He's not exactly suckling as well as I would like, but I'm able to kind of help him with that, and then he is spontaneously swallowing. You don't want to see milk coming back out of his mouth or out of his nose, because then you risk him aspirating, meaning that it's not going into the esophagus and the stomach, but rather it could potentially go into his trachea and also into his lungs and cause pneumonia. You also don't want to overfeed a baby. Overfeeding is just as dangerous as underfeeding. Overfeeding can cause diarrhea, and then babies get very dehydrated very quickly. So all of these things it's hard because you just never know. Every case is going to be different. So feel free. I'm learning with you guys. I watch a lot of homesteaders on YouTube myself and learn a lot from a lot of different homesteaders on YouTube. I hope that I'm helping. If there's any questions or comments or concerns, I'd love for you guys to reach out. I'd be more than happy to help. So this is just a baby's bottle from Walmart, actually. I did not buy anything special from Fleet Farm or any special nipple adapters. I've done that in the past, and guys, honestly, I don't find that it works well. I've had better luck with these really cheap bottles from Walmart, and if they don't suck, if you squeeze, it does come out. So that's what I find helpful. I'm sure you guys have other brands on the market that you like. So he's probably not hungry, but I'm gonna go ahead and just try to give him some of this milk. You can see it's not coming out of his nose, it's not coming out of his mouth, and although he's not making that suckling action, when I withdraw the bottle, you can see that he pulls back and spontaneously swallows, and none is coming up out of his nose or mouth. The other thing is he has really perked up now, so he's able to stand on his own, and he's wagging his tail, and he's actually was crying for me. Like I said, he had his first pee. We are waiting for his first poop. So the floor is a little slippery for him and his hooves, but he's just the cutest little guy. The biggest thing now is making sure that his body temperature remains regulated. That's huge, meaning that he's getting stronger. We need him to be able to regulate his own body temperature eventually without the wood burning stove, without my body temperature, without this. And then the other thing is we're waiting for a poop because he didn't get his initial colostrum and milk from mom, and we've had to do it. We want to make sure that this little guy poops. The good thing too about checking with the thermometer is it helps stimulate him. You'll see kittens, cats, when they have babies, they actually lick the anus to stimulate that poop to come out. Without that, when they're newborns, they don't have that mentality to go on themselves, so they do have to be stimulated. So this guy is definitely due for a poop, so we'll keep an eye on that. Pray for him. He's not out of the woods yet. He's so cute. The other thing is we want to weigh him to make sure that he's putting on weight and that he is making progress. If things start to go backwards, we'll have to reevaluate the situation and kind of take it moment by moment. But right now, I feel a lot better than I did when we found him in the barn this morning. And at no fault to Nova, so please, and I was so proud of Nova for letting her let me milk her and for letting her let Mike hold her horns, and she was actually really, really great about it, and I'm sure she misses her baby. Well guys, that's it for now. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. Your support means so much to Mike and I and our homestead, and we hope that we are helping in every way that we can and that you learn from us. I hope you guys have a great night. God bless, and come back again soon. Bye-bye.